guys, this is Undead. So in the KC Cup, I've been playing with Dark Magician, and to be honest with you, I think Dark Magician is finally playable again. And I know, ever since Spellbook of Knowledge came out, there's been people playing with it, with Dark Magician, with Spellbooks, and hey, this might be controversial, but I don't think this deck should be playing Spellbooks. I think it should be playing Dark Magician. So why do I have Spellbooks in here? It's because I only have 3 Spellbooks in here. It's not because of a lack of me owning Spellbook cards, alright? It's just, I think that the Spellbook engine's, power to draw you 2 cards, get you access to your combo, should be the beginning and end of what you need from Dark Magician. Because I agree that Spellbook of Fate is like one of the best interruptions that you could play if you had the ability to do, but it realistically requires you to be actually playing a pure Spellbook deck where your whole deck is actually Spellbooks, and it will brick because of the Dark Magician cards. And realistically, if you're going to activate Knowledge and if you're playing like 7 or more Spellbook cards, you're going to be drawing only Spellbook cards some of the time, which is not going to be helping you with your Dark Magician consistency. So I have maximum Dark Magician consistency here with just the 3 cards here to be part of Greed, essentially. It's the 2 cards that are part of Greed and the engine requirement. And I'm very likely to either have this because it's at 2 copies, because I've got the 1 Secrets and the 1 Boy, whichever one I have can search the other, and then the other can search for this. Or I can Destiny draw into it for an explosive power play on the crackback if my opponent has had a big battle phase and I somehow survived with my Nav. But yeah, I'm very thankful for this engine. Thank you, Konami. I'm glad that now, because of this, we have somewhat of a replacement for Magician's Rod. We can draw into our combo pieces better. Also, having Book of Moon in this deck is fantastic. If I set 2 back row, my opponent wants to get rid of my Magician Circle, which keeps my back row safe, essentially. The circle, I want to banish my opponent's cards, is true, but, I would prefer, if I had to choose for my opponent to remove my back row, I'd prefer they remove my circle so that I at least have 2 activatable cards in my back row to keep myself alive for the follow-up. But yeah, for those of you who are somehow unaware of what the Dark Magician archetype does, of course, we got Dark Magician, the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense. This guy is not a very good card, but I love him. He doesn't do anything. So you need to build your whole deck around getting him out. So how are we going to get him out? We have Apprentice Illusion Magician, which you can discard a card to special summon it, and when it's summoned, normal or special, you get to search for Dark Magician. So this is the way you're going to get access to Dark Magician consistently. We also have Magician of Dark Illusion. This is one that you generally, you don't need to open it, but it's nice to open, and you're mainly trying to summon it from the deck. Essentially, what this guy does is, on your turn, right, if you control it and you activate... Is it on my turn? No, it's not even on my turn. If I have it on the field, right, and I activate a spell, then I can, after that resolves, I can resummon a Dark Magician from grave once while it's on the field. Additionally, if I have it in my hand on my opponent's turn and I use a back row, then I can special summon it, and while it's on the field, it's counted as Dark Magician. This is kind of nice. Having it as a 4th copy of Dark Magician is pretty cool, just to have that name there on the field. And why that is good is because of the back row in this deck. So Dark Magical Circle, right? You activate it, and then on activation, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and if there's any spell traps that mention Dark Magician, like itself or Navigation, you can add it to your hand, then put the rest on top of your deck in any order. Or you could also add Dark Magician. So essentially it'll either add this, another copy of itself, or a Navigation. Also, when a Dark Magician is summoned, to your side of the field, you get to target and banish a card. So this does include the Magician of Dark Illusion because it is counted as Dark Magician while it is on the field. So if I, have this in my hand, right, and I use Book of Moon on my opponent's turn while I control a Dark Magical Circle, and I flip down my opponent's card or whatever, this will trigger to special summon on resolution. And since it is a Dark Magician when it is summoned, Dark Magical Circle will trigger, and I can target and banish a card, which is nice. But that is a niche play. It comes up 100%, but that's not the main focus of the deck. Magician Navigation is the main focus. We're trying our best to get this. If we don't get Circle, that's fine. But if we don't get this, we're a little bit sad. We can either have this and this, or this and this, which the whole deck is built around getting them. So Magician Navigation, you essentially flip it up, summon a Dark Magician from your hand, and then any of your, dark spellcasters from your deck. And this one, funnily enough, is most of the time the one I summon, because it actually does have another effect. Of course, I am summoning it primarily for the follow-up play to get myself another copy of Dark Magician on summon on their turn, but it also has another effect that during damage, I can tribute it from hand or field to make my battling Dark Spellcaster gain 2,000 attack, so it makes my Dark Magician difficult to attack. And if they attack into this anyway, it's okay, because at least my Dark Magician is alive. Navigation also has another effect that while it's in grave, the turn after it's sent there, and I control a Dark Magician, I can banish it from grave to target and negate a spell trap on the field, which is nice. This is the main disruption in the grind game. I banish my opponent's card later on in the game, I will negate their back row to help me push for game, generally speaking, or to prevent them from following up. Apart from that, we can summon Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer from the deck using Magician's Navigation. The reason this is good is because against more aggressive decks that don't care about back row decks like us, they generally tend to banish from graveyard, and this prevents them from doing such a thing. And if their card effect, for example, says, and if you do banish, or banish and if you do destroy, then they won't be able to get the destroy because the destruction will depend on the banish. So if they, if they have an effect like that, it won't work. But generally speaking, this is, something to help against a Chaos Dragon Legionnaire or a Blackluster Soldier or a Mech Lord. They're not going to be able to summon it because they can't banish cards from their own grave, but we can still banish cards from their grave. If this one does damage, then I can banish 2 cards from my opponent's grave, which holds them off from follow-up plays. So this is why this is so important. Previously, Dark Magician used to use, Sealed Tombs, the Ishizu skill, but we don't have that at easy access anymore. We need to pay 1,000 life points, and I'm not really trying to do that, to be honest. But yeah, turn 1, set up this, and a Dark Magician in hand, 3-card combo. I know it's not that broken, just for 1 interruption. But yeah, we can banish a card on our opponent's turn, summon 2 monsters from deck, potentially get a follow-up, potentially get a Floodgate out, set up a negate for following turns, Book of Moon to help, give more interruption, Pot of Greed to help us draw into things, and hey, trust the ratio, alright? Trust the ratio, because if you wanted to play more copies of these, then you will draw into them when you activate this, and that will not help your consistency. I'm sorry. So these will thin out the deck and Pot of Greed, and then the rest of your deck will be cards that you actually want. So that's fantastic. But then the extra deck, technically speaking, if you don't have any of these cards, that's cool, except for Rhinoceros and Exabeetle. These I summon all the damn time. Okay, you might think, oh, but you only have 3 level 6s in your whole deck. Well, I summon them from deck. Like, I often follow up with this to be able to, just get the quick effect pop. And sometimes I'm not even trying to use it as an interruption. Sometimes I'm trying to use it as like a battle trick, pierce into something with it and then activate the effect to get rid of something else, for some tricky plays, just, to get rid of something that might have, a defense that might mess with this guy's effect. But yeah, the other rank 7s in this deck are pretty nice. Dark Armed, I can't attack the turn that I use it, but I can detach to pop my opponent's card and then banish a card from my graveyard. This is if I just need to get rid of multiple things with one rank 7. Big Eye, I can steal my opponent's monster, but then Big Eye can't attack that turn. It's okay, and it's a permanent steal, I believe. Yeah, it is. So, I can just take my opponent's monster if it's, really that deep. It doesn't come up that much, but it can. Ebon Illusion Magician never comes up, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just kidding. This one comes up more than any of the other rank 7s. You can detach a material to special summon a normal spellcaster from your deck or your hand. So you're just gonna special summon your Dark Magician, and then if you then attack with your Dark Magician, you get to target and banish a card your opponent controls. So it's like additional removal, an easier way to attack for game. And if your opponent controls, like, let's say, one monster, and you have Illusion Magician and the Dark Magician, you will use the Dark Magician to attack, you can use the Ebon to, you can activate that Ebon to banish that monster, and then the replay will occur, so you will be able to attack directly with the Dark Magician, which is fantastic. If your opponent's playing a heavy destruction deck, there's a lot of destruction in the deck, you can use Red Flare Metal Dragon, because the burn is cool and all, but realistically, the only effect that we need this for in certain cases is it cannot be destroyed by card effects while it has material. Yeah. It's also kind of cool that if I happen to be facing against a Red Eyes player, I can assault them by summoning this and attacking for game with it. Hierophant of Prophecy is kind of something I haven't really seen from other Dark Magician players, but it's kind of nice if you've already gotten your spellbook package off and you summon this. Essentially, you can detach a material and then Harpy's Feather Duster your opponent's back row, because you're going to be able to destroy 1, 2, 3 of their back row. It's fantastic. But yeah, that's the deck. I think that in the Casey Cup, this deck has been doing freaking fantastically for me. Let's prove that in the game, shall we? My Mechlord opponent is going first. It seems like he kind of has everything, so he's just gonna combo off here. Going into his old play, set in back row. Freaking broken, duking an X, searching for whatever he likes. His follow-up play. I have a decent hand. I'm gonna have to play through that too back row. I'm gonna use the spellbook, search for another spellbook, search for another spellbook. This happens more often than you might think, considering I only have one of this and one of this in the deck. But yeah, I draw a full combo pretty much. He uses Cosmic on my circle. That is genuinely a good thing to do. However, I now get to set back row because he did do it. So it's not the end of the world if our circle gets removed, especially during our own turn. The book is going to stop him from summoning another Xyz, which is going to make it impossible for him to win as easily. I'm going to nav just to protect my life, pretty much. The Illusion is going to search for my follow-up. He's taking my Big Eye, which is the wrong monster to take, genuinely. I'm going to use my other nav to get more follow-up going on, because Apprentice is not once per turn. I'm going to use both Apprentices to attack into his big-ass monster. I think maybe you should probably use, actually you should probably would have used my other Apprentice that was here to attack into this monster or this monster first, and then go ahead and do that, but it's not going to matter here. Because I have some negates now. I've got 2 negates if he uses a spell trap. The Kaiku is going to prevent him from summoning his boss monster again, so he scoops it up. So the fabled Galaxy Eyes, I'm happy enough to go first. However, I brick because I have everything, but I don't have a Dark Magician. But I do have the Book of Moon, which is going to keep him off Xyz summoning for now. I'm, gonna use the illusion that I top decked, and I'm gonna use my nav to summon that Dark Magician. Get myself another apprentice, which, banishing stuff. He's gonna econ take, which is cool and all, but I don't care. Let's see just how much that matters. I'm gonna Exabeetle, gonna Rhinoceros, gonna activate another circle, hoping to get myself a nav. Thankfully, I do get it. If he kills one of my monsters, I can nav him. We'll circle him, I guess. But yeah, he's gonna go and play again. I'm gonna Rhino him. He has no follow-up, and I simply attack for game. It's a very simple deck. I'm not gonna lie. It's an incredibly simple deck, but it is fun. This is Blue Eyes. You guys might have seen this in the short we uploaded. But we do have the full combo, and we are going second, so we are at a little bit of a disadvantage because Blue Eyes versus Dark Magician. Of course, Dark Magician always wants to go first, but especially against Blue Eyes, because they can just do exactly what they're doing now, which is using Dragon Spirit Right of White to get rid of my circle. But as you're about to see in Dark Magician these days, when your circle gets killed, it's not the end of the day. It's not the end of your fight. You can still win the war. I Book of Moon is tuner. I'm gonna nav after letting him attack directly, so I can use Destiny Draw. Brent is gonna search me another Dark Magician. Gonna Destiny Draw into another copy of Illusion so that I can go for the Rhinoceros play. And I'm not going to activate it because he could just tag out, but I'm going to attack, and he can't tag out because I'm just going to Rhino whatever he summons anyway. He's going to Consonance, all that. He doesn't have any follow-up because I'm not using my Rhino. We're going first here. We happen to have the full combo without any gimmicks or anything, so we can just go for the Kaiku. We don't want to open Kaiku, but I open Kaiku like all the time. We're usually trying to summon it from the deck, but yeah. He's playing a heavy back row deck, which we don't have any problems with, because Dark Magician, as you're about to see, eats up back row for breakfast. Because we're going to banish one of the back row, and the navigation on my turn will be able to negate another one of them. So we're going to Spellbook of Knowledge. He's going to scoop it up. He knows what's about to happen. So the hero player, opening their normal monsters, of course. 30 card deck, Nearest Fusion, just Unga Bunga fusion summon. He summons Grand Mole, and I don't know why he did that. He probably should have kept it in his hand. But I have the full combo, thankfully. I'm gonna nav to summon my Dark Magician and my follow-up. If he has anything to attack me with, I can use the illusion. He's going to attack into me now, which I'm so cool with, because I actually want to use my navigation again. Now I have 2 navigations engraved to negate both of his back row, because that graveyard effect is not once per turn. I'm going to go into Rhino Bust. He's going to Book of Moon. I'm not going to negate Book of Moon. And with the Rhino Bust, I have lethal. I'm going to set the 2 Book of Moon, of course. He can't do anything. He has another Book of Moon himself. I'm going to negate it and attack for game very, very easily. He's going to Bacon though, which is great. It's great for him. It's fantastic. But look at me. I have Rhinoceros and 2 Book of Moon. What now? What can he do? What can he really do? Can he summon 3 monsters? Realistically, no. Flame Wing Man. I'll let him have it. I'm cool with it. He's going to Miracle Fusion his Neos Knight. I'm cool with that too. I'm going to use Rhino to destroy one of his fusions and use Book to set the other. He's going to summon a monster. I'm going to book that one too. Because Rhinoceros does have piercing, I've already used this effect, but I can now pierce. GG. Playing first again, I have the Pot of Greed here. Spellbook is going to search for the Blue Boy. Blue Boy is going to search for Knowledge. And Knowledge is going to get me 2 more cards. Fantastic. I now have 5 cards in my hand, but I still bricked. Isn't that great? But I have 2 Book of Moon. I'm going to at least be able to prevent him from doing crazy stuff. But unfortunately, he's playing a back row deck. I'm going to use DMC. Thank God I finally get a navigation. I'm going to have to summon my Kaiku, get navigation down. He Fiendish Chains me, even though his deck doesn't really banish cards from the grave. he's going to use the Neb. I'm going to flip down one of his monsters to prevent him from going into an Xyz that requires 3 off bat. He is going to go into the Battle Amius. I do want him to do that because it is an ignition effect. I want to get naving before that happens. He's going to Fiendish Chain. He's going to Fiendish Chain my Illusion Magician, and because he doesn't want Circle to activate, he chains his own Alpha, and I think he thinks that I don't think he knows how chain links work. He's negating his own Fiendish, is essentially what's going down, and that's freaking hilarious. But yeah, we're going to get everything off. He's going to set 2 more back row, because of course he has 2 more back row. I'm going to summon another illusion, because I'm trying to rank 8. Sorry, not rank 8, my bad, rank 7. You know, I'm going to equip his thing, see if I can bait out another Fiendish. Gonna attack, and I'm not going to attack a second time because he has Destiny Draw. I don't want him to get whatever card he wants. He already has the card he needs anyway. But, you know, I do have the Rhino to prevent him from going into an Xyz summon. He has his availability to go into Battle Amius, but it doesn't have any cards to discard, so he can't use his effect. I'm going to use my new nav because regardless of what monster he destroyed, I was going to be able to nav. Get rid of his back row because I don't care about his monster anymore. He's going to Lance, which kills my monster. Cool, but I have Illusion to just kill him. GG. I'm going first, and I have the blue boy to give me the book, and then the book to give me the knowledge. You know, better than Ferraris. I'm gonna draw 2 cards. You know, circle of myself another nav. I can discard a navigation with Apprentice, by the way, because if I discard navigation, that means that if I summon Dark Magician on their turn, this nav was already sent there this turn. So I will already have a spell trap negate. So I'll have Book of Moon and Nav. I always set Book of Moon here because this is where people think the navigation always is. He's going to go ahead and do some magnet combos, which if he's about to synchro summon, I'm not going to let that happen. He goes end phase, I activate Nav. He's like, no, I don't want to get banished. Some people have PTSD with this deck. Once again, I'm going against Blue Eyes, and once again, I'm going second against Blue Eyes, but watch me win. So Blue Boy's going to get me Book. Book is going to get me knowledge. I have this all the time. I don't need to play 3 of each. Especially when I'm drawing into Dark Magician based cards. Apprentice is going to bait out his negate, which is hilarious. He does set up a Stone Engrave, so I know that on end phase he's going to summon Spirit of White. So I'm going to use the circle regardless. He's going to Spirit anyway. I would rather him Spirit my circle than my back row, but I do have the full combo. I'm going to attack. He's got a Kiteroid. He's got it all, doesn't he? He's going to Spirit of White, get rid of my circle, of course. This is the right choice, but, you know, it doesn't let me have both of my back row. He's going to Tuner. I'm going to book the Tuner. It's most always the right play to book the Tuner. He's going to attack. On end phase, I'm going to Nav so that I can negate that back row there. Illusion is going to search for me for another Dark Magician. And I don't have Destiny Draw active, but I do have the Kaiku. Because Kaiku is my best friend. He's always there for me. I'm going to negate his Karma. And he does set up the grave with a bunch of stuff. And I don't have game. However, Kaiku is going to banish both of his stones, which essentially says it's game. Yeah. And he lets me do it. Thank you, Blue Eyes player. It is the final duel of Duel Monsters, and I, the Pharaoh, am going against Yugi Muto, and he is going to be going into his Gandora combos, using the Ancient Gears package to give him some good discard fodder. You know, he's not going to summon his Gandora turn 1 because there's nothing to destroy. But the fact that he uses the skill turn 1 against me is what is about to, you know, make it difficult for him at the end of the day. I'm going to discard the Nav, you know, just in case he has a back row, but he probably doesn't because he's Gandora. So here is where certain things get important. I'm going to let him rank 4. I'm totally cool with him rank 4ing. but he's actually going to rank 8. I'm not cool with him stealing my monster, so I'm going to Book of Moon. My bad. I'm gonna Book of Moon it. He's gonna use the skill again, and that is his folly, because we're about to read Gandora in a second. He's gonna summon his Gandora, and it says like its effect is like dependent on the amount of Gandoras engraved, right? So let's have a look. We have three differently named Gandoras. So he will get all 3 effects: destroy all other cards on the field, banish all other cards on the field, banish all other cards on field and in the graveyard. And because he has 3 engrave, it's not optional. He can't just do one of them but not do the rest of them. So the Kaiku will also, he has the other one from using the skill, but he can't activate it because Kaiku stops him from banishing from the grave. So I truly believe that this is the best way to play Dark Magician in 2022. It's got a good long game. It's a great control deck. It can brick here and there, realistically, but it's not going to happen more often than other decks would brick. You know what I mean? It's a lot less bricky than it used to be, especially with the spellbook, the small spellbook engine. Don't play a big one, otherwise you will guaranteed brick. But yeah, as you can see in the replays, I was kicking ass in the KC Cup, alright, in stage 1. See how it goes in stage 2. There's a lot of competition going around. It's better to play OTK decks in stage 2 than control decks. But I know a lot of people really like Dark Magician, and if you really want to play Dark Magician and you're just being held back by the brickiness or the expensiveness, or you feel like it's not good enough anymore, I think that if you really like Dark Magician, you can King of Games with this deck. This deck was clapping meta. Alright, I'm just saying, like you saw in the replays, it was clapping meta. But yeah, let me know how you feel about Dark Magicians in the current format in the comments. If you like the video, like the video. If you're new around here, please subscribe. And if you don't like the video, then piss off.